Here on this channel, we occasionally discuss people, fictional or otherwise, who possess neither the ability nor inclination to give the faintest whiff of a shit. And today it's the turn of Darth Vader. Before getting to the meat of this video, I should mention that almost all the facts we're about to discuss today come from information provided by the extended universe, almost the entirety of which Disney excised from Star Wars canon the moment they bought the franchise. However, because what we're about to discuss makes Darth Vader one of fiction's most famous villains sound like a petulant, childish dick, we're going to discuss it anyway, because it's hilarious. Okay, we'll start with Darth Vader's most famous move, which is obviously the Force Choke. In Star Wars novels and comics, Darth Vader doesn't always just use the Force to telekinetically crush windpipes. Sometimes he uses it to explode people's organs just to fuck with them. The reason I love this is because it shows that novel and comic Darth Vader is way more creative with the Force than movie Darth Vader is. Something movie Darth Vader uses it to like lazily chuck pieces of furniture at Luke Skywalker and then occasionally choke someone from a distance. Whereas like comic and novel Darth Vader is using it to like explode people's heart in their chest mid-combat. Imagine the kind of stuff you could do with that ability. Like in the movies, I want to see Darth Vader just gently, when he's talking to his commanders, just like grab their balls telekinetically. Give them a squeeze when they're not like... People know he's going to choke you and they know he's not going to kill you. But if Darth Vader starts telekinetically cupping your balls and then you feel them slowly getting tighter and there's nothing you can do about it, it's like, no, Darth Vader, no, I'll be better next time, I promise. There's nothing to say you can't. Like, the comics have established that he can blow up people's internal organs. What's stopping him? It's like lightly squeezing someone's bladder. Do you know when like he's in a meeting and he's like bored? It's like, you know what? I'd like to see his Admiral just be really uncomfortable in his seat and just squeeze his bladder. So he's like, oh, Lord Vader, would you mind if I went to the bathroom? Yes. Stay for the end of the meeting. Every fight in the movies could just be ended with the person facing Darth Vader shitting their pants as he mentally, telekinetically empties their colon like a toothpaste tube.
And then puts it back in.
No, like as soon as he walked onto the battlefield, you'd see his silhouette and just like, oh, no.
Surrender.
You just surrender. It's like, even if he only does it to one of you, and you think, oh, he can't do it to everyone at once because he's not that powerful, you can still do it to a good number of you, and do you want it to be you?
Kylo Ren just ripping Luke's balls.
Kylo Ren as well, he's like a proper moody asshole, he should do that. He's supposed to, like, he stops the blaster bolt in Force Awakens. You never see anyone else do that. That's like the coolest ability we've seen using the Force so far. You never really see anyone in the movies, like Jedi or Sith, use the Force in a creative way. Like, you think like they can move starships and stuff without any effort, and they can move like giant pillars and push them over. Like, what does a lightsaber weigh? Fucking nothing. It's just like a magnetic field with some plasma in it, and then like a little metal holder with a crystal inside. Why couldn't they just have the lightsaber constantly follow them around, spinning at waist height, using the Force? Like, that's an unbeatable battle tactic right there. Imagine Darth Vader walking about, his lightsaber just spinning around at 80 miles an hour in a perfect circle as he just strolls across the battlefield. You see that coming towards you like, what do we fucking do? And then while you're having that conversation, you notice that your mate's pissed himself because Darth Vader's making his bladder empty all over his pants. Darth Vader could invent an entirely new form of Sith combat. Sith combat's all about being evil, isn't it? What's more evil than violating your opponent mid-combat? Can you imagine how, like, I've got the high ground, Anakin. Whoa! Then just jump up and cut his head off. No one's going to stop you.
You underestimate my power. Don't try it.
Speaking of combat, because Darth Vader is a 7-foot-tall, cybernetically enhanced space wizard, there's not really all that much that poses a threat to him. So in the comics and novels, it's established that when he fights an opponent he doesn't deem worthy, usually he'll just stand perfectly still and take the hit, because he can.
Just to like prove a point that you can't do anything to me.
He proves the point, like he'll stand there and just like they'll shoot at him. He'll like, do you know what he does against Han Solo? Just catches it. So he just stands there and goes, yeah, go on, give me your best shot. And like they'll walk up and just like shoot him and it bounces off his armour. Or they'll hit him with a lightsaber and it'll deflect off his shoulder. Or something like that. He's like, okay, my turn, let's kill them. So he's not above stabbing himself through the stomach to hurt the person behind him just to show that he doesn't give a fuck. So that's a move straight out of Tekken. That's the move Yoshimitsu does. Do you want to know another thing I like about Darth Vader? And this is something you can actually observe in the movies. He walks just ever so slightly fast enough that everyone who's following has to do that weird awkward jog thing to keep up. And that's something goes back to David Prowse, who wore the armour in the original trilogy. And he says, well, Darth Vader would walk everywhere with purpose. He wouldn't give a shit about the people behind him. They've got to run to keep up. So if you watch like any footage of Darth Vader walking from place to place, the stormtroopers following have to do that weird, awkward dad jog to keep up. You know, like when your dad's in a car park, like, oh, Lord Vader, no, just to keep up with him. And novels have expanded on this further and said that Darth Vader walks everywhere with really deliberate, heavy steps. Just so when people are stood in a room and they hear like the doof, doof, doof of his boots hitting like the deck, they know he's coming. Like even
cover your balls.
Basically, when Darth Vader was first getting used to his armour, he kind of liked the fact that when he was walking everywhere, when he's first like stumbling around in his costume, not knowing what the fuck he was doing, his footsteps were so loud that people knew he was coming. And he's like, oh, my footsteps announce my arrival. So even after he got used to walking around in the armour, he still walks everywhere with big plodding footsteps, just because it puts people on edge when he's nearby, even though he could probably use the Force to fly around everywhere like a giant telekinetic bat. Darth Vader could, if he wanted to, fly everywhere using the Force, but no, he walks going doof, 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 just because he knows when stormtroopers hear it, they shit their pants.
Do you reckon he would occasionally just drift in?
That's the ultimate swerve. He walks everywhere with the really thudding steps, and then he says, now I'm going to start flying everywhere to catch the stormtroopers out. It's like stormtroopers are like slacking off or something like that, going, should we really be just like, you know, like just standing here doing nothing? Didn't like Lord Vader say to like, you know, patrol the area? Yeah, but you hear him coming a mile off and he flies around the corner. Oh God! That doesn't happen as far as I'm aware, but God damn, do I want there to be that to appear in one of the movies. If they ever make a standalone Darth Vader movie, I want them to establish that he can, if he wants, just fly everywhere, but he chooses not to, and he only does it to catch people out. You've got that scene in The Force Awakens, you know, when those stormtroopers see Kylo Ren like losing his shit, just go, just walk straight out of the room. I want it to be that, but it's Darth Vader. Like the Emperor is like fallen and he can't get up. There's something like that. Like the Emperor's on the floor like, oh God, I've fallen over. I wish someone could help me. Darth Vader flies in and goes, well, he didn't hear me come in. In addition, comics and novels have established that Darth Vader is well aware of the fact that he looks fucking terrifying. And rather than reassure people that, you know, he's like cool and not wanting to murder them at that exact moment, he takes advantage of this by sometimes just randomly sitting in on meetings and saying nothing. This is the thing I love about like novel and comic Darth Vader. He's aware of the fact people are scared of him and that him just being in the room makes people nervous and uncomfortable, and he does nothing to reassure them. If you think about it, Joe, in the movie, first when he walks into that meeting about like the Death Star plans.
The last remnants of the old Republic have been swept away.
That's exactly what he's doing. He's just standing there. He's not there for any reason. It's like, he knows that the missions are failing. He's just there to scare them.
Fear will keep the local systems in line.
Another thing that he does as well, and this is, again, fucking great, because obviously Darth Vader, who does he answer to?
The Emperor.
That's it. And does he answer to anybody else?
I know, he's like second in command, isn't he?
No, he doesn't. The comics and novels have established it. Sometimes, like, if he doesn't want to have a conversation with someone, or he's bored, or he's in a meeting and he's like, I've got all the information I need, he'll just stand up and walk off.
I sense something, a presence I've not felt since...
What person in the Star Wars universe is going to have the balls to like try and stop him? Nobody. So somewhere out there in the Star Wars universe is a guy who's probably like going over like the budget for the Death Star and talking to him about like employee benefits or something. Like, oh, here's the pension scheme. You need to sign here, here, and here. And Darth Vader just stood up and walked out the room. And he's like, there's so much like day-to-day interactions that I really want to see. Like, I get it, Darth Vader's cool, we all want to see him do cool shit. What I want to see though, if they ever make a standalone Darth Vader movie, is him just doing normal things. That's the thing that I find the most interesting. Like, what does Darth Vader do just in his off time? I know he sits in his like giant meditation bubble and cries about Padme. But when he's not doing that, can't be his entire day. He's got to have something. What does he do for fun? Does he watch movies? Does he still pod race? Does he listen to music? Does he still tinker with robots? Does he talk to the stormtroopers? Does he try and have conversations with the Emperor? He says like he tinkers with his like personal bomber a lot because he had to customise it to fit his new like body, and he likes tinkering with his armour because obviously that's something he did as a kid. Like, surely he's got to want to do something. Surely he can't be all about that training or like just murdering Jedi. Everyone needs an off day. What does Darth Vader do on his?
I guess I'm the only person who knows how to change a coffee filter.
I don't know about anybody watching, but like, if we ever do get a Darth Vader standalone movie, I don't want to see him hunting down Jedi. I don't want to see him at the peak of his power. I want to see 90 minutes of Darth Vader bumbling around the Death Star, just acting like an asshole. So it's pretty much established we're going to get a Han Solo, an Obi-Wan, a Darth Vader and a Boba Fett standalone movie in the next 10 years or so while the actors are still alive. But what Star Wars characters do you think deserves a standalone movie but probably won't get one?
What about, I can't remember what the actual designation was, but the one that everyone calls traitor, is in the TR-8R guy.
Oh, the guy with all the sick fucking anti-lightsaber tech combos.
The guy who just appears and just duels a lightsaber with his
He's the best
gun.
part of that fucking movie. When I saw The Force Awakens, when he appeared on screen, I remember going to the person next to me, is he a thing? Did I miss him in the original trilogy or something? Is there a stormtrooper in that who's like a total badass? It's like, no, he just randomly appears and beasts on everybody.
There's like there's a hollow backstory where he's apparently in the same regiment as Finn or something
and
like that.
In one of the novels, it's established that he was in the same regiment as Finn, and that's why he calls him traitor. But the thing that makes him so awesome is he sees a lightsaber, a weapon that at this point is legend in the Star Wars universe. Like the only person he knows who wields one is Kylo Ren, and he knows that it can cut through starship hulls. So what does he do? He whips out a fucking stick and he's like, "No, I've got this. I don't care if the only other time I've seen one of these things, it cuts someone's head off. I'm gonna beat it with this fucking stick." Why did he even have that? Why has he got anti-lightsaber weaponry when they don't even know if they still exist?
Everyone complained that should have been Phasma.
It should have been Phasma, I agree. Right, Captain Phasma is basically the new trilogy's Boba Fett, where she just looks cool and doesn't do anything. What was her backstory? Because she's fucking amazing.
It was something about her being like the greatest warrior on her planet, and her like own people were as well.
Yeah.
And these First Order people stopped off and saw how great she was and was like, "Do you want to join us?" And she's like, "Yeah."
That is a fucking money origin story. It's like, I've beaten up everyone on my planet. Can I come beat up people on other planets while wearing some sick armour? And like, yeah. In my head, Kylo Ren was like, "Wow, this chick is going places." Like, in the First Order, let's fast track this one for promotion. And I imagine him sat there doing paperwork with a little lightsaber pen, because why the fuck not? It's my imagination. Just signing the reports and going, what grade should I give Phasma? And he pulls out like a little stamp and just, boom, and just goes, "Captain," and it appears over her name and goes, there's a new name. I like to think that he's thinking, oh, now I've got a lightsaber, I've got to use it for everything. Have you heard the backstory for why his lightsaber looks so shit?
No. It's vents, isn't it? Actually,
vents, because it's an unstable kyber crystal. Because apparently the crystal he used to make his lightsaber was cracked. So its power isn't like fully realised. It has to have vents on the side.
I imagine Kylo Ren trying to do all the things that we've been saying that Darth Vader does and just not getting away with it.
So he'll be reading about Darth Vader and like, oh, my granddad, I can be just as good as him. So what this kind of shit he did? Apparently Darth Vader would walk into meetings and just stand there because he knew that his presence was so intimidating that people wouldn't question why he was doing that. I should try that. And the first time he walks in, "All right, Kylo, do you fancy helping us move this table?" And he's like, "I am the commander of the First Order." And he goes, "I just need a yes or no, mate." He's like, "I am the commander of the First Order." It's like, okay, we only asked. Like,
if you can't move the table, I mean, fine.
He's used the Force to move it, and everyone's like, "We got him this time." Or you read stuff like, Darth Vader would mock his opponent in combat by intentionally allowing them to hit him. And like in training with a stormtrooper, like this traitor, that's how he got so sick at doing like lightsaber combos. He goes, "Go on then, hit me with your best shot." And he just decks him to the floor. And he's like, "Oh." He goes, "Oh my God, like, are you okay? Are you okay?" He's like, no, I'm fine," choking like the master's tears coming out of his head.